The sun burned high over downtown Chicago, reflecting off the glass towers like liquid silver. The streets buzzed with cars and horns, people moving in their routines, unaware that life and death were about to cross paths in the middle of a bright day. Inside the marble lobby of a finance building, Daniel pushed his cleaning cart. His uniform was plain, his shoes scuffed, and his movements quiet. He had been a janitor for years, invisible to most, but invisible had taught him to see everything. His eyes scanned the lobby, noting the subtle signs of life, the anxious glance of a receptionist, the way the security guard absent-mindedly tapped his radio, the reflection of shoes on polished floors. Then the glass revolving doors spun violently, and two small girls burst through, running barefoot across the marble. Their hair tangled, faces streaked with dust and tears, eyes wide with terror. They clutched each other's hands, moving as if they were one. Before the security team could react, they reached Daniel. One of the girls threw herself against his chest, gasping for air. They hurt. Our mom. She's dying. Her words stumbled and broke, but her fear left no room for lies. The second girl clung to the first, crying softly but urgently, pointing outside. Daniel felt a jolt of recognition in the raw, desperate truth of their voices. He knelt down to steady them. "Calm down," he said, voice firm but gentle. "What's your name? Where is your mother?" The older twin's trembling finger pointed toward the parking structure across the street. The noise of the city hummed, horns, footsteps, engines. But none of it mattered. There, in the glaring daylight, lay a woman fighting for her life. Security hesitated, bound by protocol. Daniel did not. He lifted both girls into his arms, one under each arm, and ran. His heart pounded in rhythm with their frantic breaths. Speed mattered. Minutes could mean the difference between life and death. The parking structure reeked of oil and heat, a scent mingled with fear. There, sprawled across the concrete, was Evelyn Grant, CEO of the finance building. A formidable woman in life, now vulnerable and broken. Her suit was torn, her face bruised, shallow breaths rattling from her chest. Her attackers were gone, leaving only the evidence of violence etched across her body. The twins wailed, their small voices calling for their mother. Daniel carefully set them down on the cold concrete. His hands moved with precise, practiced motions, calm and sure. "Stay with me, ma'am," he said softly, scanning her body. "Help is coming." He checked airway, breathing, circulation, the rhythm of trauma care ingrained in muscle memory. He never forgot. Years ago, before this uniform and this silence, he had been a trauma surgeon. He had saved lives under heat, fire, and explosions. He had promised himself he would never fail another patient, even if the world forgot him. The wound on her side demanded immediate action. Daniel ripped his belt from his waist and applied pressure with methodical precision. Too loose and it failed. Too tight and it killed. Nearby, a small crowd gathered, phones out, whispers filling the concrete space. Daniel raised his voice, not loud, but commanding. "Call emergency services. Now," he ordered one man. "Clean cloths. Water," he directed another. He turned to the twins. "Look at me. Breathe with me." Panic stole oxygen, but he forced it back into them with calm control. He pressed on the wound, folded jackets beneath her, adjusted Evelyn's body to prevent shock. All the while, the sun shone indifferent above, the city moving on, oblivious to the scene below. Memories flashed across Daniel's mind. Desert heat, midnight cries, blood and fire, explosions that shook his world. The nights in med school interrupted by trauma, learning the rhythm of life and death. The promises made to save lives, no matter the cost. All of it prepared him for this moment. Minutes passed. Sirens grew louder in the distance. Daniel's hands never faltered. The twins clung to him, one on each side, tiny arms wrapped around his waist, eyes wide with terror and trust. When the paramedics arrived, they froze for a heartbeat. They could see he had already done the hardest part. "Who are you?" one asked. Daniel simply said, "Janitor." Names did not matter when results spoke louder than words. They lifted Evelyn onto a stretcher, noting stabilized vitals, controlled bleeding, and effective pre-hospital care. One paramedic whispered, almost in awe, "Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing." The twins refused to let go of Daniel's hands. He stayed with them until the ambulance doors closed, until the sirens faded. Only then did his body betray him, the adrenaline leaving his system, shaking his hands, pressing the reality of what could have been. Security guided him back inside, but nothing was the same. People looked at him differently now. Hours later, under the same bright sun, news spread. Evelyn was alive, in surgery, stable. Minutes stolen back from death. The story of a janitor saving a CEO swept through the building, and eventually the city. When Evelyn awoke, she asked for the man with calm hands. Daniel stepped forward, and she looked at him with eyes that saw beyond the uniform. "Thank you," she whispered. He replied simply, "I did what was needed." "Why did you know what to do?" she asked, curiosity mingling with gratitude. Daniel took a deep breath. "I was once a trauma surgeon. I lost my license after exposing corruption. I chose silence over compromise. But some skills, some promises, never fade." The twins, exhausted and tear-streaked, hugged him. Their small smiles broke through the tension of the day, a reminder of life and hope restored. Sunlight streamed through the hospital windows, touching all of them in its warm glow. In a single day, in one bright moment, a life was saved. 2 children kept their mother. A man's hidden skill returned to the world, exactly when it was needed. And somewhere in that city, people began to remember that humanity still existed in the most unexpected places. That courage could wear a janitor's uniform. That kindness could appear when it was needed most. If the story touched your heart, share it. Let the world know that heroes sometimes hide in plain sight.